One really great, but maybe lesser known feature in Arches 7.6 is the ability to write custom information to a resource instance's Elasticsearch document. This feature was developed by Brett Ferguson at QED Systems, and it's useful for a lot of things. For example, information about who created a resource instance or who last edited it is stored in the Arches edit log, but it's not stored in an instance's Elasticsearch document. If we wanted to add that information, we easily could using this feature, and then we would be able to search for resources based on their creator or their last editor. Another thing that we could do is we can index information about a resource instance's related resources, and then use that related information to search for resources. And that is what I'm going to demonstrate today. So I have a model called physical thing, and I've created two instances of physical thing, object A and object B. Object A is related to an instance of digital resource, which I've named photo of object A. And that photo is related to an instance of person that I've named photographer 1. The same is basically true for object B. Object B has a photo of object B, and that photo has a different photographer, photographer 2. Now what I would like to be able to do is I would like to be able to search for objects based on the name of their photographers, and this is something that is not possible to do by default in Arches. But all I need to do is add an ES mapping modifier class, add a little bit of logic, and then update my settings, and then I will be able to do that kind of search. So to start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside my project, which is called Disco, and I'm going to create a new directory called utils. And then within that directory, I'm going to create a new file. New Python file, and I'm going to call it search mapping modifier.py. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside Arches, and I'm going to look inside the test directory, and then down into views, and look for the search tests file. And then near the bottom of that file, there is an example of an ES mapping modifier class. It's at line 969. And I'm going to copy that example. And I'm going to paste it in my new Python file. And I'm going to use this as a template for my ES mapping modifier. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to add some missing imports. So I'm going to go back to search tests, scroll back up to the top, and I'm going to grab those imports. And I actually only need the ES mapping modifier class. And I need a couple of classes from DSL Builder, but I don't need query. All right. And then I'm going to need to import the Django models. All right. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to rename my class to something a little bit more relevant. Let's call it related resource ES mapping modifier. And next, I'm going to update the add search terms method. This is the method that is used to write custom information to our resource instance. This is our resource instance's Elasticsearch document. This is the instance that gets passed in here. And so what I need to do is query the resource x resource table for this resource instance's related resources. So those that are immediately related to it, or basically the first hop of resource instances. So I'll call this first hop. So I'm using values list here because all I really need are the IDs of the resource instances that our resource instance is related to. And that's going to return a query set that I will use to pass into my next query, which is to get the resources that are related to those resources. Basically, this will return the photos taken of my object. And now I need to get the photographers. So I'm just going to copy this line and make some changes to it. And now I have my photographers. And from those, all I actually want is their primary descriptor names. So I'm going to write a little list comprehension to get those. And I need to cast this to a string. And then I want to take this list and turn it into a string. That looks good. And then once I have that, then all I need to do is add my new string here so that it gets indexed against this custom value field in my document. And now what I need to do is I need to add a setting in my project settings py file to let Arches know where this search mapping modifier class can be found. So I'll add the ES mapping modifier classes setting. And that can be found in disco.utils. resource. No. ES. There we go. And now I will try to reindex so that information gets added to my documents. All right, and now I will go ahead and restart my server. Okay, so now go ahead and refresh. And now I should be able to search using my photographer's name. And it worked. Photographer 1 is indeed the photographer of object A. And if I get the inverse of that, then I get object B, and I can also get object B by querying using object B's photographer, photographer 2. And that gives me object B. So you can see how remarkably easy that was to do. So if you find that search in Arches is inadequate for what you want to do, hopefully this feature will fill that gap for you. Thank you very much.